How to Build a Multi-Billion-Dollar Business in Africa from Scratch by Strive Masiwa. Compiled by Geoffrey Tengamba, being read to you by Arnold Rangakuramia. Chapter 15. Turn your business into a technology company. The most successful business today, big or small, are those that see themselves as technology companies irrespective of what business they are in. All this is technology. The other day I was talking to a friend who runs a fast-moving consumer goods company, or what experts call an FMCG company. He was surprised when I said to him, I also consider myself to be in the FMCG sector. I discourage many people from seeing our business as a technology business. I don't understand what you mean, my friend said. I thought you were in telecoms business. Isn't that technology? Well, we sell fast-moving consumer goods. Our products and services, things like airtime, are for the mass market consumer. We are not different from Coca Cola. We are chasing the same consumer dollars. Then I added, now if you're a consumer goods company selling bread, you must begin to see yourself as a technology company if you want to succeed in today's digital world. A technology company that sees itself only as a technology company will end up losing sight of the customer. And yet almost all businesses must so embrace technology in everything they do that for all practical purposes they are technology companies. The most successful businesses today, big or small, are those that see themselves as technology companies, irrespective of what business they are in. Confused? Imagine an entrepreneur who is running a small supermarket at a business center, at a busy business center. Her business seems simple enough. She buys fast-moving goods like bread and meat and sells them to her community and perhaps to people who travel through it, like tourists or visitors. How can we turn her business into a technology business? How could she use technology to make herself more efficient, attract more customers, be more profitable, and grow perhaps into a franchise? What advice would you give her? She needs to have a smartphone for starters. Through her smartphone, she can buy applications readily available on the internet to help her with things like inventory management, payroll management, record keeping, and accounts. All this is technology. She can use the internet to link up with wholesalers and other suppliers to order goods and compare input prices. She can research the retail price her competitors are charging for the same items. She can bank using her cell phone. She can be part of a savings scheme. She can invest in a credit card terminal to attract new business and larger orders. She can advertise her goods on the internet using everything from Facebook to Instagram, etc. She can even set up her own website. There are so many young people who can develop a website for her at a very little cost. Whatever business you're in, even the informal sector, you must begin to have a presence on the internet. Technology matters in your business. Take the time to look for creative ways to leverage it to make your business more visible, efficient, and profitable. Technology matters in your business. Don't think you must wait until you're big before you learn to harness technology. You'll become big by harnessing technology. Even if you're running a rural trading post or sell goods at an informal market, technology can give you information, efficiency, and competitive edge to help you succeed and prosper. In this series, I'll talk about how technology can transform even the smallest business in any sector. As the great inventor Thomas Edison said, there is a better way to do it. Find it. Harness the future. The other day I was watching a program about a young Chinese entrepreneur who created a restaurant that had no waiters. Everyone orders food using an app and simply arrives, collects, and sits down to eat. 10 years ago, I remember visiting a farmer's market in rural Kenya, where they had exchanged prices on their cell phones from village to village to ensure that middlemen do not cheat them. It has since developed into a highly sophisticated commodity exchange system. This is technology. In the past few weeks, some of you have shared exciting ways you already use technology in your own businesses. Some others of you are just beginning to launch your ideas. You are harnessing the future. Whatever line of work you're in, you must master technology. It must be your silent partner. Many of you have asked advice about how to get started. Why not use the internet to do research and bring yourself up to speed with the best business practices and technology innovations around the world? Whatever you do, Don't think you can be blissfully ignorant, or worse, resistant to the changes happening because of technology. When I was getting started in business, it wasn't possible to go to my phone or the World Wide Web to search for information about nearly everything. Today, almost all of you can do this. The world can be at your fingertips. If you're really serious about learning online, consider looking for a MOOC, which means a massive online open course at www.mooc-list.com. You can find technology education and training courses and a wide range of other subjects taught by top universities and colleges around the world. Many are free of charge. Coursera.org is one MOOC with courses on all topics under the sun, including how to create a website in a weekend and web design for everybody. You alone must decide what you need to make your business more successful and profitable using technology. But below are a few websites that offer IT courses that may be of interest. There is www.udacity.com/courses, www.teamtreehouse.com, www.codeacademy.com, www.code.org, www.khanacademy.org/computing/computer programming. Remember, information is power. But one word of warning, while the internet has some amazing research information, be sure your sources are trusted and credible. Some of what you read could be worthless and even destructive. When I'm done with this series, I want you to become conscious of the impact of technology on the business you're in now and imagine its role in the future, not in a negative sense, but in a positive way. You're not going to get away from the impact of technology. You must either learn to harness its huge potential and use it to your advantage, or it will destroy you. Looking at your own business today, you should already be working on these 5 questions. How can technology help me design, produce, market, and/or deliver first-class goods and services to my customers? How can technology make my business more productive and efficient? How can technology make my business bigger? How can technology make my business more profitable? How can technology help me leapfrog my competitors? Listen before you leap. In a recent interview, a former CEO of Apple Computer, John Sculley, talked about entrepreneurship, innovation, and new disruptive technologies. He said his Apple business card back then didn't call him Chief Executive Officer. It said Chief Listener. As you transform your business into a technology company, you'll have important decisions to make. You too will need to become a chief listener. Not every exciting new technology will be right for every business. Not long ago, I met a young farmer from Zambia who told me of innovations he was introducing on his small holding of only a few acres. He knew he had to introduce hybrid seeds to increase his yield. Seed technology. He was using fertilizers and testing out different application methods. Soil management technology. He was introducing storage bags to protect his harvest from losses. All that is technology. He was interested in buying a dryer to ensure that he could extend the life of his crops. That's technology. He was using his cell phone to find buyers for his produce and had set up a website. That's technology. He regularly talked to other farmers and exchanged information on Facebook and Instagram. That's technology. He was using solar power to light up his home and power up some of his equipment. Technology. He was part of a cooperative, planning to buy a tractor and other equipment to improve productivity and output. Again, that's technology. He was aware of what other young progressive farmers were doing all over Africa, using social media to keep abreast of news from Ghana to Brazil and beyond. All that is technology. Technology, technology, technology. This young man had done his homework and was in the process of making careful technological choices on his path to prosperity. So how might you get started? If you're already in business, you must first take the time to listen to your customers, your business team, and a few trusted experts, whether many or few. I've already discussed the importance of reading. What do people in your market or industry say they want? Is it available? Why or why not? How can technology help? How can you and your team do your work better? more productively, efficiently, and quickly. How can technology help? Do you know what your competitors are doing? How can technology help you do it better? The business magazine's publisher, Malcolm Forbes, once said, "The art of conversation lies in listening." Listening is a critical form of market research that doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. If we were supposed to talk more than listen, we would have two tongues and one ear, said the great American writer Mark Twain in the 1880s. Twain was reportedly offered the opportunity to invest in the first telephone by its inventor Alexander Graham Bell, but he declined. No. I guess he didn't like the sound of that new technology. I wonder who he listened to. Back then, a telephone was no doubt a very disruptive idea. Basic listening homework includes deciding the right questions. Then, listening to customers, suppliers, competitors, and experiences of trusted others. Consulting with experts, not just the ones trying to sell you new technology. Please don't just wake up one morning and decide on impulse to spend or invest lots of money, just because a salesman or a so-called expert tells you that the new technology alone will make you rich and successful. You must do your homework. In today's high-tech world, people still talk much more than they do listen. Did you know the words silent and listen have the exact same letters in them? There are so many more ways to do your business research now than ever before. Everyone can learn and benefit from being a chief listener. Use mobile phones and the internet to change your business. Most of the fastest growing businesses in the world are businesses that have reimagined well-established business areas by introducing innovations based on the internet and mobile phone technologies. You don't have to change the business you're in to make it a technology company. You just have to reimagine it using the internet and the mobile phone. Let's look at some examples. From flea markets to e-commerce. Africa is full of what we call flea markets, that is informal markets. These are small little businesses selling almost anything that we find in every African city. Some are huge. Mbare Market in Harare, Ikeja Market in Lagos, Kibera in Kenya, to name some of the best known. There you can buy almost anything. In China, some smart young entrepreneurs looked at these informal markets and reimagined them on the internet. Out of this came some of the most valuable businesses in the world today, companies like Alibaba and Tencent. We all know about companies like Uber and Lyft and their Chinese counterparts. All these guys did was use mobile technology and the emergency of smartphones to bring efficiency to something as old as cars hailing down a taxi. A young entrepreneur in America who loved reading books wanted to find a way to get a book. Instead of spending his time going to bookshops and libraries, he thought, why not sell books using the internet? The company he created is one of the most formidable businesses in the world today. It's called Amazon. A group of entrepreneurs used to sell videos, something we see on the streets of Africa every day. These guys thought to themselves, why can't we do this online? First, they started selling on a website. Then they thought, why sell videos? We can just stream the videos direct. That is Netflix, folks. Years ago, if you wanted to sell something in your car, you went to the newspaper and bought a column in the classifieds column. It was time-consuming and costly. Today, there are thousands of businesses that do this online. Some of the greatest opportunities today lie in simply taking things we have always done and applying innovations based on the internet and mobile phones. Today, I want you to think about the business you're in or work for and ask yourself, what have we done to make this a technology business? How much of our income comes from our use of the internet and mobile phones? If it's less than 25%, you're headed for extinction. And you probably deserve it. If you don't get your business online and use mobile technology, someone will reimagine what you do and take it away from you. You have to drive your business through the internet and mobile phone technology. There is no business which is exempt. You saw the article I published recently called Digital Farmer. Yes, even smallholder farmers in villages must use mobile phones and the internet to grow their businesses. Here is an interesting prediction. Within 10 years, there should be no markets found anywhere in Africa, like Sio, So, Mbare, Ikeja, and Kibera. You shouldn't find anywhere in Africa someone selling wares at a street corner, even vegetables. It will all have gone online and an order using a mobile phone. Now let's get to work. The internet and the mobile revolution have liberated us to build a new generation of businesses and social enterprises that play by a different set of rules. If you learn things like HTML coding and how to sell online, you can equip yourself with the capacity to build a new generation of businesses which allows you to sell your goods and services not only to people in your country but even beyond almost instantly. You can build businesses like Alibaba, Weibo, Tencent, Facebook, Yukos, Twitter, and such the like. You will not need to fight for contracts and tenders or lands or mineral rights or an oil block. You will not need to raise big bank loans to start or rent expensive premises. You will not need to move to the big city in your country. You will not need to go to the Silicon Valley. You and your friends can work from a small kitchen somewhere, even in Kibera, a big slum in Nairobi. As Jack Ma of Alibaba showed us, you do not need to be an engineer or a rocket scientist. If you are a school teacher, you can start posting lessons for African students, even tomorrow. If you are a nurse, you can share some of your health tips online, even tomorrow. If you are a farmer or agri-entrepreneur, you can earn more money than ever before by using these new tools. Just imagine what would happen to your country and Africa if you too could launch a business like Alibaba or Tencent. Each one of these businesses is worth more than all the diamonds in Zimbabwe and Botswana. Their combined value is almost the size of the Nigerian economy. The trend we are seeing in China that gave way for companies like Alibaba and Tencent to emerge is also coming to Africa. Applying technology to an old idea. In some parts of West Africa, they call it susu. In South Africa, they call it stokvel. In Zimbabwe, they call it mukando. A group of people who know and trust each other get together and form a savings club. They agree to save a certain amount of money every month, and each one of them takes turns in receiving a large amount of money. It's a traditional savings and loans idea that has been around for a very long time. Women in informal markets in villages and church groups do it. Low-income workers do it right across Africa. People who have tried to estimate how much money circulates in these informal savings schemes believe it's probably billions of dollars across Africa. About 3 years ago, I brought together a small team of smart coders and asked them to design an application to reimagine this system. The team developed a platform which enabled a group of people to use their mobile money service to save their money using this platform, using their phone numbers and a bank account. We've now successfully implemented this idea and thousands of savings clubs are now using it. The EcoCash Mukando platform does not try to do away with the traditional system, but has simply applied technology to make it more efficient and flexible. It holds the deposits on behalf of the savings clubs and what are known as barrier societies. They can earn interest on their money, which they could not do before. It's easier and safer to deposit and move their money. Since the service was launched in Zimbabwe a few months ago, I have been amazed at how many clubs exist, as each week hundreds of new clubs are joining and being formed. Now that we have got the concept working and generating revenue, our next task is to begin to roll it out in other countries. A few weeks ago, I was having a meeting with a leading international banker in New York when he suddenly said to me, "Tell me about this banking system your people in Zimbabwe have pioneered. You call it Mukando? What an amazing idea. You guys could mobilize billions in savings." I simply smiled and thought to myself, here is a guy in New York watching something we are doing in Africa. I have no doubt in my mind that this is a billion-dollar idea. I have used this example to illustrate a very important point to you. Some of the greatest opportunities out there do not necessarily involve new inventions or innovations. You can start by observing things around you, some of them basic mundane things. Some of these things are taken for granted as the way things are done, but everything that you can see with your physical eye is subject to change. Why can't you be the person who brings this change by applying a technological innovation to it? Here is my challenge. Think about the most mundane activity around you and reimagine it for the digital age. If you succeed, you'll be on your way to becoming a billionaire. One last point. Many people tell me they have lots of ideas, but the mobile operators in their country are not willing to partner with them. As much as I am in this business, let me tell you something, you don't need them. Uber, WhatsApp, Twitter, Viber, WeChat, Instagram, Alibaba, none of them went begging mobile operators to partner with them. They just did it. Come up with the strategies that bypass the need to get anyone's approval or permission, including mine. You could be the one who changes the world with an idea all others thought impossible. Don't get left behind. End of chapter 15.